But this is a pretty big deal here. The Poway City Council essentially voted to make it legal to remove homeless encampments from Poway uh, on a number of provisions. I mean, the first being that there has to be beds available in local shelters that authorities can direct them to. Because if there are no available shelter beds, then you can't kick them out. And we're talking about kicking them out off of public property, like in a park or on city hall land or some area that's owned by the city, trails, that sort of thing, or in public right of way, which is the sidewalk or kind of near the sidewalk around some of those corners. Because we've been seeing some homeless people in Poway in a lot of new areas that have been popping up. Most recently, along Pomerado Road, right in front of the Poway National Little League by Pomerado Elementary, we've been seeing homeless encampments there kind of tucked into the bushes right next to the sidewalk. Now, does Poway have a big homeless problem like San Diego does? No. And I saw one of the reports. I think there are 23 homeless in the most recent survey in Poway, where was it 3 years ago? I think there were 20. And so now there were 15 3 years ago. Now there are 23. So it's growing, but it's still relatively small. But the concern is that, of course, the city of San Diego is enacting similar policies. Mayor Todd Gloria is trying to be really tough on all this, and we're going to clear out the homeless because they're just so frustrated with trying to figure out a way to solve the problem. And now they're getting to the point where they feel like they're getting all this pressure from local businesses and local residents that have all this homeless folks in their community, and the riffraff and the disruption that they cause. Says we need just to clear them out. Now, San Diego has the same provision. They're under that same rule. They can't kick someone out unless there's a bed nearby. But Poway is now thinking, oh my God, well, if they kick them out of San Diego, where they're going to go? They're going to come to Poway. And so we've got to be able to have a similar ordinance so we can have some control. So I think it was good that the city council did this. And they talked to the sheriff in Poway, and forgive me for not knowing the lady's name, but she spoke very eloquently on the topic. And she said, yeah, I mean, we don't just kick them out. I mean, we're going to talk to them and provide services. We're going to help them identify if there is a local shelter bed available, and they'll point them in the right direction. They'll make them aware of, counseling services, addiction recovery services, mental health services that are offered by the Interfaith, which is the group of all the churches. They get together and they kind of have this cooperative group that helps people in homelessness. They'll make them aware of all these resources that are available locally that can help them overcome some of their challenges. And only if they refuse to go to that empty available bed at a shelter would they ever essentially kick them out. And then on top of it, they would be giving them essentially 24 hours notice to move on. And if they don't move on, then all of their property, their tent and their belongings would all essentially be scooped up and taken by city officials or by the sheriff and put into a government warehouse where it would be held safely. And I believe this individual will have something like 90 days to retrieve it, that sort of thing. So this was read into law first reading, and it was approved 4-0 by the city council. Mayor Steve Vaus, Brian Pepin, Peter DeHoff, and Kalen Frank all voted for this. Now it's going to have to come up for a second reading, and I think they're having a meeting next Tuesday where this will probably be voted 4-0 again, and this will be made law. The media is all over this because, homelessness is such a big problem. And again, not so bad in Poway, but definitely in other parts of the county. And I think a lot of people are on one level saying, hey, good on these city officials for clearing them out. But there's a lot of other people on the other side of the argument that are saying, hey, wait a minute, these are vulnerable people. Hey, wait a minute, this is cruel and inhumane to kick them out. I know I'm of the opinion that the people that caused the problem in the first place are typically the politicians and the way they set up a lot of the policies, particularly housing policy. It's more of a statewide thing, a countywide thing. They're the ones that have goofed it up for everybody. by limiting so much construction. Now, thank goodness Poway's building a lot. I like that. But there's still a lot of people here in town that don't like that at all. And really, the more you restrict housing, even housing for rich people, that still has, a cascading effect that creates challenges for home inventory, for low income home inventory that homeless people can use. So in the end, interesting that Poway's taken this approach. I'm generally supportive of it. And I'll see, let's see where this whole thing goes.